Hello dear students of class 6 and welcome to yet another online class of geography. Dear children, today we will be continuing with the last element that makes map readable and understandable, and that would be grid system. Grid system. Now children, before we start with the grid system, I'd like to explain to you something which is a bit related topic but not mentioned. Dear children, in order to locate any place on the map, cartographers follow certain imaginary lines. I repeat it, these are imaginary lines. You won't find them actually on Earth, but cartographers on their map of the world, on the Earth, they have drawn many imaginary lines. Now there are two sets of those lines. There are imaginary lines which run from east to west. East to west. These are called latitudes. Latitudes. Alright. And then you have imaginary lines running north to south. These are known as longitudes. Okay. So imaginary lines that run east to west are known as latitude, and imaginary lines which run north to south are known as longitude. Now dear children, first we will discuss about latitude and longitude only, and then I will tell you how these are related to the grid system. Now children, if we take our Earth, okay, if we take our Earth and let's talk about latitudes only here, then the first important latitude that we need to remember is equator. Equator is 0 degree. The 0 degree latitude is known as equator. From this you can understand that whether it's latitude or longitude, they are always calculated in degrees. They are always calculated in degrees. Now there are many latitudes, but we'll talk about few of the important ones only here. Alright. Now children, equator, the 0 degree latitude, it passes right through the middle of the Earth and divides the Earth into northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere. Okay, northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere. Then you have another important line of latitude, Tropic of Cancer. Tropic of Cancer. Tropic of Cancer lies in 23.5 degree north. 23.5 degree north. Why north? You can very well understand, because this is northern hemisphere. And then you have another important latitude, Tropic of Capricorn. Capricorn. This is 23.5 degree south latitude. So you have equator. Above the equator you have 23.5 degree north, Tropic of Cancer, and below you have 23.5 degree south, Tropic of Capricorn. After that you have another one, Arctic Circle. Arctic Circle. This is 66.5 degree north latitude. 66.5 degree north latitude. And then you have Antarctic Circle. Antarctic Circle, 66.5 degree south latitude. So once again children, there are 5 important lines of latitude. They are equator at 0 degree, Tropic of Cancer at 23.5 degree north, Arctic Circle 66.5 degree north. Then you have Tropic of Capricorn 23.5 degree south, and Antarctic Circle 66.5 degree south. You also have North Pole and South Pole, that is 90 degree north. Okay, 90 degree north, that is North Pole, and you have 90 degree South Pole. but these are not latitudes, these are only points. These are only points. So these are the important lines of latitude located on Earth. Now talking about longitude. Talking about longitudes. Longitudes, as I told you earlier, are imaginary lines running from north to south. So the 0 degree longitude is known as prime meridian. Prime meridian. There are 180 lines of longitudes, okay, 180 lines of longitudes, but there is only one of them which is very important, that's prime meridian. The rest of the longitudes, they simply connect with the prime meridian points at north and south, almost giving it a shape of a play ball or watermelon or something like that, you can understand. All right. So you see here, you can see one difference, that latitudes, they don't connect with each other, they are almost separated, or you can say parallel, but here every longitude line, they connect with the prime meridian. So remember, this difference between latitude and longitude is very important. Few of the differences which you can always remember is, first one, latitudes run east to west, but longitudes run north to south. Next, there are 90 lines of latitude but 180 lines of longitude. Third one, latitudes are complete circles, longitudes are not complete circle. Then 0 degree latitude is known as equator, whereas 0 degree longitude is known as prime meridian. Alright, few of these differences, if you can remember, it will be very easy for you. Alright, now continuing, like I told you earlier, that now I'll be explaining to you how latitude and longitude are related to the grid system. Dear children, latitude and longitudes are the very foundation of the grid system. But before I move on to that, let me remind you once again, latitudes and longitudes are imaginary lines. If you go searching for them on the roads, on the streets, or in the air, they are not there. They are simply present on the map. They have been formed by geographers or cartographers in order to locate places easily. Now you see children, now as you saw that latitudes, they run east to west, whereas longitudes, they run north to south. Now if both are placed together on the same map, you are going to notice one thing here, that wherever two sets of latitude, they cross with two sets of longitude, they form a square box. Once again I am telling you, when two sets of latitude, okay, they cross with two sets of longitude, they form a box. This box is known as grid, or properly known as geographic grid. Geographic grid. Now, as in the grid, every latitude and longitude has their measurement in degrees. That means if we know the proper two latitudes and two longitudes of any place, we can easily locate it on the map with the help of the grid system. All we have to see is where those two sets of latitude and two sets of longitude connect with each other. Let me explain this to you a bit properly. Children, the latitude extent of India is 8 degree 4 minute north to 37 degree 6 minute north. Okay, and longitude extent of India is 68 degree 7 minute east to 97 degree 25 minutes east. So what this means, all we have to do on map is look for two latitudes which are 8 degree 4 minute north and 37 degree 6 minute north. 8 degree 4 minute north, 8 degree 4 minute north to 37 degree 6 minute north. And then we have to find out where these two latitudes cross with these two longitudes, that is 68 degree 7 minute east to 97 degree 25 minutes east. So wherever these two latitudes will cross with these two longitudes, you see they are forming a grid, and it means our India is roughly located within this particular grid only. Okay, not roughly located, exactly located within this particular grid. In fact, modern satellite mapping, imaging, the Google map which you use or any kind of online satellite map, they make use of latitude and longitude system, that is the grid system, in order to pinpoint accurate locations. Now remember, this is the most accurate system of place location available. All you have to know is what are the latitude and longitudes of the place, two latitude and two longitude. And remember that wherever two sets of latitude cross with two sets of longitude, they form a grid. They form a grid. So if you are asked what is a grid or what is a geographic grid, so you have to write when two lines of latitude cross two lines of longitude, then they form a geographic grid. Now remember this. So this is the technique. By the formation of grid system only, the place can be located on a map. Now dear children, also this particular latitude and longitude system also helps us to locate heat zones on Earth. So let's talk about heat zones also. Heat zones. Now I've already told you, you have your equator 0 degree, then you have your Tropic of Cancer, that is 23.5 degree north. You have your Tropic of Capricorn, 23.5 degree south. Then you have your Arctic Circle, 66.5 degree north. You have your Antarctic Circle, 66.5 degree south, and then you have your poles. You have your poles. Now dear children, one thing about equator is that sun's rays always fall directly overhead on the equator. Rest of the places sun rays are slanting. That means equator receives maximum heat. Equator receives maximum heat, whereas other places they receive lesser heat depending on the angle of the slant. Now based on this children, there are three heat zones. You have torrid zone. This is the hot zone. Torrid zone is the hot zone. Temperature here is very high. Then you have frigid zone. Frigid zone. It is the cold zone. Temperature here is very low. And then you have temperate zone. Temperate zone. This is the moderate zone. Moderate zone. And by moderate zone I mean the temperature here is neither very hot nor very cold. So you see, obviously as the temperature, sun's rays fall directly overhead at the equator, so this particular area is your torrid zone. Torrid zone. That is from equator up to 23.5 degree north and 23.5 degree south. It's your torrid zone. And as the lowest temperature is in North Pole and South Pole, so we can understand that these two areas, they are the frigid zone. Frigid zone at 90 degree north and 90 degree south. Only place left in middle is this. The area between 23.5 degree north and 66.5 degree north and 23.5 degree south and 66.5 degree south. So these two particular areas have moderate temperature. Neither they are too hot nor they are too cold. Hence they are known as temperate zones. Temperate zones. Location of heat zones on Earth helps us to understand the climatic structure of the Earth as a whole. So I hope you understand the three heat zones: torrid zone, frigid zone and temperate zone. Torrid zone is the area located between 0 degree to 23.5 degree north and 0 degree to 23.5 degree south. Then you have temperate zone. Temperate zone lies between 23.5 degree north to 66.5 degree north and 23.5 degree south to 66.5 degree south. That's your temperate zone. And in the end you have North Pole and South Pole. That's your frigid zone. That's your frigid zone. Remember, torrid zone is the hot zone, frigid zone, cold zone, and temperate zone means temperature is moderate, neither too hot nor too cold. Alright, dear children. So this in particular ends your lesson. Your homework is, kindly note the exercises, those who have the book. Exercise A and exercise E. Exercise A and exercise E. I am mentioning the homework here. Exercise A and exercise E. This you have to do in your copy by yourself. Exercise A and exercise E. Alright, dear children, rest of the exercise will be given to you in the next video as a reference. Thank you very much and stay safe. And before this video ends, dear children, I would like to remind you, we have our weekly tests going on in almost every major subject. As a class teacher, I urge you to participate in it in large number. We have 60 students and more. So please participate in full numbers. Don't ignore weekly tests. Your academic performance is being recorded on the basis of those weekly tests only. Thank you very much. Stay safe.